Hey, what's good, guys? It's Andrew from GaragebandProfessional.com. Today I'm going to show you how I mix the song for a client using GarageBand. You can also see my article at GaragebandProfessional.com/how to mix GarageBand. So in a previous video, I showed you how to collect all your files into a zip file and send them as an email. So that's what I had my client do, and so once you receive the email, it's as simple as just clicking on the file and then downloading everything, and then just drag and dropping it into your DAW. What I normally do is I export it to the desktop, and then I drag everything in from there. So I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm just gonna run through each thing. The article is a lot more in depth, so I recommend you check that out. But anyway, in order to mix, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes it takes a few tries, but usually you get it after a few times. I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna play the song for you first. So yeah, the first thing that I'll do normally is I just go through all these VU meters right here. You can see them, where they are on the screen right here. And then so you just go through one by one, and then you figure out where you want the instruments to sit and what you want their volume to be. So it's just as simple as just hitting play on everything, and then I just drag and drop each one at a time. And I listen to the music as one. I don't solo anything. I just listen to it all together using my Audio-Technica headphones. And I just listen, and I adjust each VU meter one by one until everything sounds good. And then once I'm done with that, then I start moving into the plugins and stuff. So here is the background vocals. For it, I'll show you the plugins that I have on it. So I have the compressor on. It's at a studio vocal. You can see that right here. What that does is it increases the loud sound or the quiet sounds, and it decreases the loud sounds. So you can see the parameters that it's set up right here. To get into the presets, you just click on this thing, and then you can find it. See studio vocal. Then I also have a noise gate about -36. That just gets rid of all of the noise gate just gets rid of all the undesirable sounds that we don't want. So I have a bit of channel EQ on it as well, soften background vocals. You get into that preset by doing the same thing. You just go voice, soften background vocals, and then it'll give you that. And you can make minor adjustments to it as you see fit. Normally the presets are alright, but you will have to make maybe a few adjustments. And then I also have a little bit of delay. Now with the delay, you have to be careful. I wouldn't put this much delay on the main vocals, because the vocals would end up sounding washed out. But I did have it on the background vocals because I thought it gave it a kind of a nice sound. We'll play them together. So yeah. Anyway, now for the bass guitar, I have a channel EQ. I have the E-bass EQ. You get into the presets in the same way. And then I also have the noise gate set at -30, and you can listen to it on its own. I didn't put a compressor on the bass because there was already enough compression on the track, so I didn't bother with that. And with the drums, he's using a drummer track, I believe. So when someone's using a drummer track, you don't really have the option of, adjusting each parameter one by one, because if the drums were recorded each instrument at a time, you could mix each part of the drum kit, and then you could make everything sound a bit better. But this is just a drummer track, so really all you can do for it really is just have a channel EQ on it. Maybe, I guess you could put a compressor on it, but I don't do that because then you end up with too much compression on the track, and then when you go to mix it in the final stage, it's too much. But that's it for the drums. And then for the guitar solo, We'll listen to that on its own. Probably first together and then once on its own. So I'll show you what I did to it. Surprisingly, I didn't put a noise gate on it, but I used this compressor here. It's actually not that strong a compression. It's just 2-to-1 compression, which is like very mild compression. The threshold's at negative 14.5 dB. The gain is up a little bit, and then I have a channel EQ on it a bit. Here's the picked electric guitar EQ. We can listen to it solo to hear what it sounds like. So here's what it sounds like without the channel EQ. Notice that the channel EQ just makes it sound a lot better and a lot brighter. So yeah, moving on. And for the left guitar, I panned it to the left, and then for the right guitar, I panned it to the right. Each one has a noise gate set up around negative 50. I have a channel EQ on the cleanup guitar that just literally cleans it up. So let's listen to it on its own. That's it with the EQ off. So it's the same thing with that guitar as well. And then with the main, the voice, the vocalist is probably the most important part for people because obviously it's kind of the focus of the track. You can see I have the ambience and the reverb set right here. And then I have a compressor, a studio vocal. We can listen to what it sounds like without compression first. Here's it without compression. Mentre te ne vai. Now here is it with compression. Non aspettare, te ne devi andare. So you can see that it's made it a lot louder. And then we're going to check out the channel EQ as well. So with the EQ, this is a common tactic for mixing male vocals from what I understand. Then again, I'm not an expert, but that's everything I've read. They say that it's best if the vocals, if it's a man, you want to take out some of those sub frequencies and then increase the higher frequencies. And that's just because a man's voice is much lower. And then for the pitch correction, using pitch correction is not too complicated in GarageBand. I'm sure there's very sophisticated softwares out there, but I don't know. I'm just going to talk about GarageBands. In their case, it's just as simple as figuring out the key signature. So in this case, it's B flat major, and then you hit limit to key right here, and then you find the pitch correction where it doesn't sound robotic. So in this case, I would normally put it at 77, but that was too much in this song's case, so I had put it at 67. The better the vocal performance, the more pitch correction you can use. And people have a misconception about it. They think that it's something that, they think that you're going to take someone who's a terrible singer and make them awesome. Now, maybe there is software like that exists in the world, but I'm not sure. I don't know about it. But the pitch correction that I use, it just makes a good vocal performance better. So let's move on from that. To figure out the song's key, you just have to find one note. You have to find one note on your guitar or the piano, and then you play the notes from the major scale up from that note. So then you can figure out the key of the song. And then, you have to set it right here. Originally, I had some stereo delay on the vocals. I thought it sounded good, and I had the vocals turned down, but the client didn't want that. Personally, I thought my first mix was superior, but when you're doing something for somebody, you kind of have to just do what they say because they're paying you to do it, right? But anyway, once everything is done, I make sure that my volume is set at 0 dB. This one right here. And then I make sure that when I'm playing the song, there's no red in any of the VU meters.
Non so il perché ogni volta che
You can see there's no red, everything looks good. So what you would do here is you would hit share, export song to disk, and then you use the AIFF file, which is a lossless, high quality file format. It's the best one to use. So yeah, let's say hypothetically we just did that. So I'd go in here, I'd open a new file, that's what I would be doing. And then it's already in here obviously, but then it would be sitting right here, and then I would just drag and drop it in. Then I would increase the volume by the master volume by +2 dB. And then I normally what I put on it is I put a compressor, a channel EQ, and a limiter. So for the compressor, I just use a platinum analog tape, and then I usually turn it down a bit. I usually turn the ratio on it down a bit, or sometimes I might use a what else do I like to use? Sometimes I just make the parameters myself. But anyway, moving on to the channel EQ, you can see that I've just used subtractive EQ. So I've just, tried to edit out undesirable frequencies, and I left everything else the same. And then for the limiter, that's simple. I just go +2 gain, and then the negative 0.2 dB. So I'll show you what it sounds like here. So yeah, sounds pretty good. And that's pretty much it. And then if you just go share, export song to disk, or you can go to SoundCloud or to iTunes. And yeah, that's pretty much all for mixing. This wasn't a very thorough tutorial, but I don't have a lot of time. I got to take my computer to the Mac store in an hour. But anyway, I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video.